Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining RollWorks today for our 7 Ways to Optimize with an Uncertain Budget webinar. We are thrilled that we're joined by our partner, Bombora, who is an industry leader in the intent space. Before we begin, I will just state a few housekeeping items. This is an actual fully recorded webinar, but please feel free to ask any questions throughout the chat. We will follow up with you post-webinar. Also, don't worry if you have to leave early. Since this is recorded, we will be able to send this recording to you within 24 hours. And with that said, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Eric Chavez. I'm a product marketing manager at RollWorks, and I've been with the company for a little under 2 years, and I will be serving as your moderator today. Now, we will be going through a lot today, but what we want you to walk away with is an understanding of 3 key things. The first one is being able to use different types of intent data and the power that you'll have by combining them. Being able to execute 7 ways to use intent in a down economy to drive more efficient and effective account-based marketing strategies. And lastly, using Bombora and RollWorks to identify the right accounts and get really precise with keywords so that you are able to identify and get in front of the right folks. Our agenda for today is comprised of 4 main parts. The first one is overall context to the state of the B2B buying conditions. Second, the importance of intent data. Third, 7 use cases that we'll go through that will walk you through using intent data in a down economy. And lastly, we're going to close out the session with some key takeaways and resources. All right, so let's meet today's expert. So today I'm thrilled to be joined by Ryan from Bombora and my colleague Bowie from RollWorks. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves as they will be your key experts today. Ryan, do you want to go ahead and give a short bio?
For sure. Well, thank you, Eric. Hey, everybody, I'm Ryan Moline. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Bombora. I lead product marketing for both our native integrations as well as our channel partnerships. Been in the MarTech space for a little over 10 years now. Many of those years spent in ABM, technology, strategy, which I absolutely love and definitely have a passion for. So I'm really excited to dive in with everyone today.
I can go next. Hi, folks. My name's Bowie, and I'm on the product team here at RollWorks. And I help onboard and create new data sources that help our customers improve their go-to-market processes and really help identify accounts and contacts that are demonstrating in-market behavior. Looking forward to getting into the webinar with everyone.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Bowie. We really appreciate having you guys here and providing your thoughts today. So without further ado, let's go into what's happening in the world today. We know that there are many macroeconomic conditions affecting every industry, and we're going to have Ryan and Bowie speak on their impact for B2B marketers. So Ryan, do you mind kicking us off with what you're noticing out in the industry?
Yeah, not at all. Well, cool. Yeah, let's dive in. So, the state of the B2B buyer's world. I won't speak for everyone, but I think for a lot of us, it looks like chaos, right? It's budget cuts, it's reduction in headcount and resources, it's longer hours, it's more projects, it's less help, right? There's the demand marketing company Integrate, who's also a partner with Bombora, worked with a research firm called Demand Metric on a recent state of B2B marketing report. And some of the statistics they found were pretty compelling. I wanted to share them with you today. 60% of B2B marketers are reporting flat or reduced budgets for 2023. And then 2/3 of those marketers are expected to meet and or exceed the same expectations heading into the new year. I think it's fair to say that a common theme for many of us this year is going to be, how do we do more with less? And of course, to make it even more difficult, right, the B2B buying process is largely self-guided these days. There's a majority of buyers, admittedly don't prefer to interact with a vendor, even though they know they kind of need to at some point in that journey. But I think ultimately, B2B, purchasing decisions do get made by a committee. So it's on us as marketers to really kind of speak the language of multiple personas to really bridge the gap between, sales and marketing, between those different departments in our evaluation cycle. But we still need to do it in a personalized, timely, and relevant fashion. So I think that's kind of the struggle, given, I guess, the economic difficulties, as well as some of the interactive difficulties in the market today.
Thanks, Ryan. Bowie, so just given that there's just a lot of things that marketers have to deal with, what are your thoughts on how companies can navigate these challenges?
Yeah, so like Ryan mentioned, the buying journey is incredibly fragmented. And we know that buyers are on this self-guided process and not interacting with the company's sales team or even their own website until halfway down that buying journey. And that really presents a challenge for both marketing and sales professionals to identify these potential buyers in the early stages of that journey to make sure that they're effectively reaching those people and really beginning that nurture process. And we know the audience is scattered, the landscape is very complex, and the decision makers and that buying committee is numerous. And we know that marketing and sales reps are being asked to do all of this with flat or declining resources. And so this makes things really, really tough. And the organizations who are winning are the ones that are adapting to the evolving way that these B2B buyers actually buy. And what that amounts to is, being able to combine data to identify the right people, reaching them with the right message, reaching them in the right channel, and also having processes internally to automate the delivery of these messages to the buyers and potentially notifications to internal stakeholders. And so those that are able to really succeed in surrounding the buying committee with that relevant messaging at the right time, in the right channels, doing all of that at scale, those are the companies that have a shot at winning the new customer or the upsell or the renewal. And at RollWorks with our bread and butter is really that display advertising, and that's one channel where we've seen significant advancements in precision and in operationalizing that data for prioritization and personalization use cases, and we see that that can really deliver big wins. And ultimately, again, like Ryan called out, if you can identify and get in front of those buyers when they're just beginning that buying journey with low touch but relevant messaging, you're really setting yourself up for a much, much smoother and efficient sale.
Thanks, Bowie. Thanks, Ryan. So we know that there's just a lot of things out there affecting marketers' ability to properly get in front of the right folks. And that's really why we're here, right? So I think it's a great segue to go into basically how can folks get in front of the right buyers, and intent data really is the key way to do so. But first, let's just go into what exactly intent data is. Ryan, you come from one of the leading vendors of intent data. Would you mind walking us through what it is and why it's so critical during these times?
Yeah, of course. So, I'd say a simplistic definition of what intent data is that it tells you which businesses are researching the products, the services, the solutions that you and your competitors sell. Now, within that relatively large, broad stroke, right, there are multiple ways that we can go about collecting the data. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. But it's also important to understand where the data comes from and the level of information that we're able to gather from those data sources. So I wanted to really quickly walk you guys through first, second, third-party data sources and highlight some of the benefits of each. So first-party data, right? This is data that's collected from your audience through one of your digital properties, right? So this could be your website, a microsite, maybe your social platforms, data input in your CRM, email, chat, etc. I think the major benefit of driving traffic to one of your digital web properties is that if you can get that visitor to engage with a call to action, right, we can then tie their web activity to their name and their email address that we can market to them directly. So let's say, for example, I've got an anonymous visitor on my website. I know that this person's been on certain pages. I know they spent certain time on these pages. They've engaged with or downloaded certain pieces of content. But if I can bring them to a contact us form or a form filled to download a white paper from the website, I can take that anonymous visitor information and I can tie it back to the person that submitted that form. So, all I'd say, I think, first-party data is by far one of the most accurate, data sources on the planet. And it's an incredibly powerful way to leverage your existing digital assets and get some very, very clean and actionable data. Second-party data is essentially just first-party data purchased from someone else, right? So it allows us to maintain that, pretty astute level of accuracy and data integrity from that one originating unique source of data, but we just have to purchase that from somebody else. Third-party data is data that's purchased from a third-party non-originating source, right? So this is data that gets collected, I think probably pretty traditionally from multiple different sources, and then it gets aggregated, filtered, packaged, and resold to a buyer. In almost all cases, right, third-party data is anonymized at the company level. But I think as the data asset grows, right, sometimes we can potentially lose some transparency there. Data could potentially get stale, right? We're not always entirely certain of where it comes from. So there's some inherent risk there, but I think overall, it's good to understand kind of where data comes from. Again, what are some of the entitlements that we get from capturing and leveraging that data, and then how can we put that to use? So next I want to talk about Bombora, the company, right? Who is Bombora? Where does our data come from? So Bombora is a data cooperative. You'll often hear us kind of refer to ourselves as a co-op, or that part of our business as the co-op. But idea being, right, we provide very high quality, ethically sourced, consent-based B2B, intent data, intent signals at a very, very large scale. And I selected this graphic intentionally. I think it's a great example of kind of how our process works. So if you look at that circle in the middle, this is B2B ecosystem. Around that, we have a number of different logos. Those logos are representative of the many thousands and thousands of premium publications or premium publisher websites that we work with that sort of form that cooperative. So we're looking at activity within the co-op, but we're also understand that when a company goes out and does research, specifically for a product or service that your company can sell, right? They're doing that research by reading a blog post, right? Reading an article, signing up for a newsletter, downloading a white paper, right? A lot of that activity happens within one of those websites. Typically many of those websites, right? But beyond that activity, we're also looking at consumption metrics, right? So number of users at an organization that's doing the research, maybe extent or depth of that research, time spent on page, scroll patterns, contextual relevance of the actual content that's being searched and engaged with. But with that, right, we're listing over 3 million businesses. We track almost 32 billion consumption events per month. And we've got an ever-growing taxonomy of over, I think I've got 12,500 on the page here. We've got one coming in a couple weeks that'll put us right around 13,000 topics in our taxonomy. So a lot of great data, and it's incredibly well-sourced, ethically sourced, and it's a great way to kind of understand those B2B buying signals and those buying behaviors out there across the market as we think about how do we want to market to prospects, how do we want sales to prospect or engage with those prospects, and how do we want to tie that story together from start to finish. So why is intent data important? I can give you a million reasons, right? But in front of us, right, we've got an example of a funnel and some of the many use cases, or you can think of these at maybe stages or steps within our process, where I think intent data can really help inform our sales and marketing team. So if we look at the top of the funnel there, right, intent data can help us find net new accounts. It can help us define or maybe refine our ICP or our total addressable market. It can help us drive, content or ad campaigns based on the buying behaviors or the signals that we're capturing on these prospects. Inform our content communication strategy. There's a ton that we can do top of funnel with this data. And then we see that line through the middle where we kind of quote unquote transition from marketing to sales. I'd argue, many people might argue that, you never really kind of transition from marketing to sales, but intent can really help provide consistency across both teams. So I think it ensures that, or we want to ensure that our messaging is consistent in both, across both sales and marketing channels, right? So if I've got a sales rep sending emails to a prospect, they're on the phone, they're hopping on meetings, et cetera, I want to make sure that the value prop, the message that they're delivering is the exact same as what we're putting in our digital display ads upstream, top of funnel, or what we're sending in our, automated emails, or what type of content they see when they come to our website, so we can personalize that experience for them, right? We want to maintain consistency there. And then it also helps our reps prioritize the most active accounts. And we'll dive into this use case specifically here in a bit, but it's a great way for our reps to look at the accounts that are actively showing the most buying behaviors and spend our time there. Now, I think what's really interesting about this is it doesn't stop at the funnel, right? There's some incredibly strong, customer success, use cases here, right? Competitive research, upsell, cross-sell opportunities. Right, it doesn't stop. It powers so many different use cases within our process, which I think is, the combination of any sort of data can be so powerful in our go-to-market motion. So, to kind of answer the question, why is intent data important? It gives us the ability to drive quality demand, unify our sales and marketing teams, and really kind of stay one step ahead of our competition in an otherwise competitive market. And I think in the spirit of budget conservation, right, it's a single data set that enables dozens of use cases. I think that's incredibly powerful.
I appreciate all that intel and information, Ryan. For those that may not know on the call, RollWorks actually partners with Bombora to actually leverage their intent data within our platform. However, I'm going to pass it over to Bowie so that he can share some exciting news on what RollWorks has also built to make our intent offering even more powerful when used with Bombora. Bowie, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So at RollWorks, we developed proprietary technology to understand the types of content that people at accounts are consuming across the web. And Ryan gave a great overview of Bombora Company Surge and how that's sourced from this co-op of 4,000 B2B websites. And RollWorks actually complements Bombora in that it's sourced from the remaining 99% of the open web. And at a high level, RollWorks accesses the text on web pages through our supply partnerships that we get at the next role level. And for those of you who may not be aware, RollWorks is a sister company to AdRoll, and RollWorks plus AdRoll equals next role. So then, using RollWorks' industry-leading account de-anonymization capabilities, we are able to understand the content that an account is actually consuming. And what's particularly interesting is that customers can input arbitrary keywords, and RollWorks is able to then identify accounts that are consuming content related to that keyword. And so once RollWorks has actually identified the account is showing intent, which is really to say, hey, something abnormal is going on at this account as it relates to a given keyword, really serving as a predictor for in-market behavior. RollWorks makes it very easy for customers to combine multiple intent signals. So, for example, accounts that are showing intent as found by RollWorks and Bombora. And we also make it really easy to join that intent data with other first and second party data, data that might be siloed or sitting in your CRM or marketing automation, and also derived data that RollWorks is coming to the table with. And that's going to be things like journey stages, which is kind of mashing up a bunch of different intent and engagement data. There's an ICP fit grade, which is analyzing the attributes, and things like account news, which is providing intel into what external factors may be going on at another account, and many others. And so ultimately, RollWorks is really helping its customers make sense of the various intent and engagement signals by doing things like enabling easy joining of intent sources and types, helping our customers understand what to do next when an account is showing in-market behavior, and really operationalizing that data for both marketing and sales users. And then finally, helping folks understand what is the success gained by using intent data. So really being able to tie that intent data into business outcomes like opportunity creation or deal creation, and ultimately things like close one, and really running the gamut from new acquisition to that upsell and retention play as well.
Yeah, and Bowie, so I think that was a really good overview of our intent data versus Bombora, but can you just go a bit deeper into what the difference is with Bombora and RollWorks' intent data?
Sure. So I would just say that, at a high level, Bombora and RollWorks complement each other really well, and provide this balance of precision and scale. And so with Bombora, you're getting this curated network of websites through their data co-op, like Ryan called out, ethically sourced data, which gives Bombora this really rich set of features to use in their modeling. And on top of that, Bombora also offers, what I think of as these smart topics, where they're really able to semantically understand what a website is about. So a good example is, if you're tracking the topic social media and an article is about Meta or Facebook, but does not actually mention social media directly, the article will still index highly for social media due to their sophisticated natural language processing and really the ability to know that Meta is a social media company. And with RollWorks, through those supply level partnerships that I was talking about, RollWorks is able to track content consumption across this long tail of websites, the remaining 99% of the open web. So between Bombora's co-op and RollWorks' supply partnerships, you can really feel confident that RollWorks and Bombora are truly understanding what people at key accounts are consuming online. Maybe the last key difference I'll mention is, RollWorks' ability to track, these precise and arbitrary keywords. So as a RollWorks customer, you can input any word or any string of words, and RollWorks is able to perform, fuzzy matching for that keyword on the text that we're analyzing. So when you combine this approach with Bombora's smart topics, you really have a comprehensive coverage of keywords and topics across the entire web, which is really going to help, marketing and sales begin to identify and then outbound to the right accounts.
Thank you both. That was really great information and a good foundation around the current state of our B2B marketers' world, what's their behavior, and knowing what intent data is and why it's so important. So now we're going to get into actually putting these concepts into real life use cases with 7 ways to use intent and RollWorks keywords to identify and engage the right audiences and be confident in your ABM strategy. So we're going to have Ryan lead the way first and give us 3 different use cases, and then we'll have Bowie finish us out with the last 4. So with that said, Ryan, let's go into use case number 1.
Cool. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bowie. So use case number 1, account prioritization. I like this one, right? So for a moment, I get to put on my sales hat, and I kind of want to walk you through how I would prioritize my accounts in a sales context using intent data. So for context, let's say I've got 100 enterprise accounts in my patch for Q1, and I've got a media quota that I've got to meet, right? So I realize that not every single one of my 100 accounts is going to be showing in-market activity, the same buying behaviors or signals at the exact same time. So I'd approach it like this. I'd set up some sort of automated report through Bombora, through RollWorks to be delivered on probably Monday morning, beginning of my week. And I take my report and I'd want to look at the accounts that are showing the most active buying behaviors since last week, right? So I can prioritize my time specifically around those accounts. So in this case, let's say I've got, 3 or 5 accounts that are showing kind of that increased level of activity based on the prior baselines. I want to give 100% of my attention to these accounts, communicating with them, enabling them, helping solve their problems. I want to keep that opportunities alive and active because they are showing the most in-market buying behaviors. They're telling me without telling me that they want to have a conversation, that they're ready to take that next step in the journey. Now, next Monday, I might rerun those reports and the accounts might change, right? And that happens pretty regularly. And I think that's okay. It just gives me the tools that I need as a sales rep to adjust my prioritization appropriately from there, right? So it's a great way to kind of sift through, again, right, the pressure of 100 accounts. I got to close all these accounts. I got to close as many as I can. Let's focus on the accounts that are saying, hey, I'm ready to go. Like, let's have a conversation here. And I think that's one of the most powerful use cases with intent data as it relates to prioritizing the right accounts. The second use case is personalization. So what does good personalization look like using intent data? Intent signals can not only help us prioritize which accounts we want to focus on, but it can help us message to them in a very relevant and efficient way, right? So I'll use RollWorks as an example, right? Let's say we've got a list of prospects that are actively searching for ABM related terms, right? So within those terms or topics, maybe we've got things like account-based marketing or account-based experience, go-to-market, digital advertising, account-based advertising, sales and marketing, right? Dozens of words that thematically roll into account-based marketing. What we can do is we can use those words to supplement our outreach, our communication, our messaging, right? So whether that's via ads or email cadences that we're sending out, our phone conversations, personal website experience or chat experience, right? I want to ensure that our message is going to resonate with the types of products or solutions or services that these accounts are searching for, right? So this is telling us in their words what they want to hear, and then we can speak back to them in their own language and meet them exactly where they are in that, that step within that customer journey. And then use case 3, finding more accounts showing readiness signals. So, my first thought with this is, you can leverage this approach in a number of different ways. So maybe you have a very well predefined list of target accounts. Maybe you want to run it a little bit more broader scope against an entire customer base, or a larger set of accounts that's filtered to meet our ICP or our TAM, or total addressable market. But I think one very common use case that we see from both RollWorks and Bombora customers is that they often input their competitor's company name, right, as a topic or keyword, so they can understand if a prospect is researching an alternate solution. I think it's brilliant, and it's they can kind of take this information and they know who they're competing against. They know, again, exactly where their prospect is, within that evaluation. But it helps us define what type of content, or outreach we want to do to, again, meet them where they are in this process. And it also helps us position to our strengths, right? If I know that I'm competing against competitor A or competitor B, I know what my strengths are, I know what my weaknesses are. They do as well, right? We can kind of take, control of that evaluation. We can position ourselves, our messaging, in a way that's beneficial to us and to our brand, and really kind of help lead the evaluation the rest of the way. I think, as we think about deeper in the sales process, or even beyond the sales process, we get into the customer relationship. This competitive information is a great indicator that a customer might be unhappy, or that they're reevaluating, they're doing their diligence. What else is out there? Does it make sense to change, or to switch, or to migrate to another solution? So, think about these early indicators from a customer success perspective. If I can get 6 months lead time on saving an account, that means a world of difference, not only to my book of business, to our companies as a whole, right? So it's a really, really cool use case, really cool way to kind of stay proactively on top of those signals. And again, contact, message, communicate at the exact time, with the exact words, at the exact place that they want to hear it.
Well, so the next use case here is around intent confirmation. And, what you can do here is layer in keyword intent over other in-market signals like Bombora, like G2 buyer intent, and like some of those first-party signals. And what that does is, gives marketing teams and sales teams an idea of whether these multiple signals are in agreement, and allowing folks to have a higher degree of confidence that these accounts are truly in market and ready for outreach. And the most common approach that we see our customers take when combining multiple signals is usually around something like combining RollWorks intent data with Bombora company surge to identify accounts that are researching their brand, but maybe they have not yet visited their website. And building on that example, RollWorks keyword intent customers can input their own company name and input their own product names. And Bombora also enables the tracking of many, many company names as well. And so in this example, what you can do is you can say, hey, I want to see all of the accounts that are in my territory that are showing intent for my company name as deemed by RollWorks and Bombora, but they haven't yet taken the next step to kind of visit my website. And the output there would be a highly curated list of companies that are found to be researching your company by multiple approaches. And so these are companies that you would want to reach out to right away to take advantage of those early research signals. So use case 5 is around content strategy and recommendations. And the idea here is that we can help both marketers and sales teams develop content that their prospects are interested in. And there's many, many ways to go about doing this, but one of the primary ways is that you can look at what keywords or what topics accounts are consuming the most, specifically accounts that are in your ideal customer profile. And you can start to get a sense of both very niche keywords and topics with more broad ones. And in doing so, you'll be able to really get an understanding of what areas companies in your ICP are researching. Where is their demand for more information. And upon kind of identifying those keywords and topics, you can begin to build out content tracks. And that could be in the form of, ad copy. It could be in the form of, landing page copy. It could also be in long form content, taking advantage of some of the developments with AI-based content generation. And so in order to be successful in using intent data to inform your content strategy, it's important to have a good foundation and good understanding of the keywords and topics that companies in your ICP are researching. Okay, use case 6 is around understanding which keywords and topics to track. So that is a good segue here. So the idea here is, being able to recommend keywords and topics to track. And so, again, this is a little bit more of an art than a science, but in order to get started, there's probably 4 areas where I would recommend, kind of doing without fail. And so the first is kind of inputting your own company name, inputting your own product names or business units. So that's one. Inputting your competitors' names is also a really great area to start. And Ryan was calling out some of the benefits, I think, in use case 2 of that. And then the third area that I would recommend is inputting some industry-specific terms. And the fourth area would be inputting any pain points that your company or products help solve. And if all else fails, and you really are struggling to come up with where to start, you can always get started by using your SEO keywords and optimize from there based off of the volume of intent that you're seeing for each of those keywords. Kind of more at a thematic level, it's good to have a balance of these niche keywords like company names, competitor names, and then also some broader industry-specific keywords. And again, that really just helps balance the precision and scale so that you are kind of right-sizing the amount of account showing intent with the resources that you have available. And last but not least is kind of the almost infinite amount of use cases that can be solved by having the intent data available in your systems of record, be it CRM or marketing automation or sales automation. And essentially what happens is, if you're able to sync the keyword intent data to systems as fields or properties, that will unlock, many custom and scaled use cases. And so I'll go over about 4 use cases that can be accomplished by having this data in your system of record. The first is around having a more dynamic account assignment. So if an account is showing intent for your company name or maybe even your competitors' names, and it's not currently being worked, you can build out processes to automatically assign that account to an SDR, BDR, or account executive. Kind of in the same vein, if an account is already assigned but doesn't have any recent activity, and again is showing intent for keywords or topics that you care about, there are pretty easy ways to take advantage of automations in those systems of record to issue out a notification to that account owner. There's also use cases that Ryan covered already where account executive and SDRs can base their communication streams on the keywords or topics that a company is showing intent for, and in many cases be able to automate that as well. And then the final example that I'll cover is the ability to kind of join and remix intent data with other data that exists in CRM, marketing automation, sales automation to create new data. For example, joining intent data with attribute data or ICP data can help you create out dynamic tiering of your target accounts.
Thank you, Ryan and Bowie. I think you guys definitely walked through a lot of ways that can be leveraged for intent data, and it could be a bit overwhelming for some folks. So would you both just call out some things that you think are important for everyone to take away from all these use cases? Ryan, do you want to, lead the way?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Eric. Yeah. So, the first one, right? Good marketing is possible with any budget. And I truly mean that. And I've worked with customers that have done 99% of their operation from an Excel spreadsheet. And I've worked with some customers that have had some of the most sophisticated tech stacks you'll ever see in your lifetime, right? And I think, a lot of the magic happens in between. It's being intentional. It's being deliberate with who we engage with, how we engage with them, and using data, right? Intent data or other, to really personalize that experience. I think that's what really can kind of move the needle in marketing today, in terms of making or doing, I guess, more with less. Second call out, right? When budgets are constrained, it's critical to focus on audiences most likely to buy, right? And I liken this back to kind of that sales or account prioritization use case for sales, where it's I only have so much time in my day. I've got a lot of accounts. I got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to focus my time on the ones that are raising their hand and saying, hey, we're ready. We're at this point in the evaluation. We're ready to have a conversation. We are probably your highest likelihood to close. As a sales rep, I'm going to focus my time and energy here. And then using intent data is key to uncovering more accounts in market. Again, the landscape is always changing, especially now, right? Customers are coming on, companies are coming on, companies are falling off. And I think it's a great way to kind of A, keep pulse on the industry, but B, as we start to think about expanding our reach, do we want to go up market? Do we want to maybe focus on the SMB, right? It's a great way to look at accounts that are actively in an evaluation process and align that to existing customers and say, hey, I realize that these accounts are very much like this account. Did we have success here? How do we have success here, right? And we can start to replicate that model through other similar accounts out there in the market and really expand our reach in our account lists within our our ABM platforms like RollWorks or beyond.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So kind of takeaways from my end are, the more intent data, the better. When you have multiple corroborating signals of intent, that should really give you a high degree of confidence that an account is truly in market for a given product or solution. In addition to that, you can use these multiple intent signals to make sure that you're delivering, really relevant messaging, and it also can help illuminate areas of opportunity and areas of risk as it relates to tracking, when a company is showing intent for the competition. And finally, intent is useful for across many channels, including advertising, and it also really provides an edge throughout the entire customer lifecycle, from new business acquisition all the way through upsell and retention.
Thank you both. Bowie, Ryan, we really appreciate your extensive expertise that you shared with us today. I hope everyone, no matter where they are in their ABM or intent data journey, learned something as well. We also wanted to give all of the attendees today some more resources that we'll provide in the follow-up note. The first one being, we have a really great interactive demo that we built with Bombora that will walk you through step-by-step how to leverage intent data to create a target account list within RollWorks using both our keyword intent product and Bombora's company Surge. You'll find it's really easy, and it really does a good job explaining why both are important when creating your target audience account list. The second is a case study on how Okta actually were able to increase their op creation by 24%. And it'll just also walk you through what they did with intent data and ads to really be able to have very effective performance with just using intent in more creative ways. And lastly, we'll provide a snapshot on what Bowie was mentioning as far as our new keyword intent product that will also show you or provide you with a bit more detail on what its features are and all of the benefits. And with that said, that's about all the time we have today, you all. Thank you all for joining. We hope that we were able to equip you with some knowledge and tools to get you started with intent on your account-based strategies. As a reminder, you will be receiving a recording of today's webinar. We're going to follow up with you on any questions that any of you might have asked. And if you would like to learn more, please reach out to us at rollworks.com.
Awesome.